All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the sheer, unadulterated pressure, those sky-high expectations, and the intensely dramatic stalemates that the host nations faced in their opening 2026 regional fixtures. Because look, when you're the host, the whole dynamic fundamentally shifts. You aren't just out there playing another match, you are actively defending your home soil. And as we're going to see, that so-called advantage was severely tested right from the opening whistle.
I mean, just picture this for a second. The world is watching, the stadium is absolutely rocking, and your nation's World Cup adventure is finally kicking off right on your own home turf. Every single touch of the ball, every tackle, every sprint, it's magnified tenfold when you're playing a major international tournament on your own patch. The fans, they don't just hope for a good performance, right? They expect nothing short of total dominance. But as we all know, the reality on the pitch rarely goes exactly according to the script.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Pressure on Home Turf. Expectations for the 2026 hosts.
So we're looking at two massively different matchups here that actually share one huge common thread. On one hand, you've got the USA versus Mexico, your classic high-energy North American derby. We are talking end-to-end chaos, rapid transitional play, and decades of intense rivalry where, honestly, midfield shape often just breaks down early in favor of those attacking transitions. Then, on the other hand, you have Canada versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, this played out much more like a regional showcase chess match. Highly tactical, super methodical, focusing really heavily on low-block defensive structures and precise ball circulation. But despite having totally different opponents and contrasting playing styles, both host nations were absolutely desperate to prevent an upset in their territory. Literally, neither side was willing to concede spatial control on home soil.
But hey, here is the harsh reality. Being well-stocked with talent does not guarantee an easy path to glory. You can have the brightest stars, you can deploy the most dynamic formations, but playing at home doesn't magically put points on the board. Take Jesse Marsch's Canadian squad, for instance. They came out looking super bright, right? Full of energy, tactical promise, pushing high up the pitch in those opening minutes. But the world's best don't simply fold just because you have a stacked roster and a loud crowd roaring behind you. They absorb that pressure, and they wait for the structural gaps to appear. Moving right along to Section 2, Early Shocks and Setbacks, Moments of Concern.
Okay, so how does a defensive breakdown actually happen? Well, it usually follows a pretty familiar script. Step 1, a ball gets launched high into the box. Seems simple enough, right? But then comes Step 2, the home defense completely fails to deal with it immediately. You see hesitation in the zonal marking, there's a distinct lack of conviction in clearing that first ball. And then, Step 3, a lovely flick-on that finds the back of the net. And guys, this is exactly how Canada's defensive structure cracked. It wasn't some tactical masterclass by the visitors, it was just Bosnia ruthlessly capitalizing on a momentary lapse in defensive communication and spatial awareness, right there in the 6-yard box. They officially made their presence felt on the global stage.
And that brings us to what we'll call a moment of concern. You know the feeling. It's that sudden, honestly horrifying realization of vulnerability right on your home turf. It's characterized by missed headers, nervous tension flooding the penalty area, and scrambling defenses desperately trying to recover their shape. We saw this exact same panic connect both of these games. While Canada really struggled with set-piece marking, the USA versus Mexico derby featured these frantic end-to-end transitions that created severe defensive tension from open play. In both arenas, the hosts suddenly woke up to the fact that they were in a massive test of their resilience.
But, and this is a big but, the hosts weren't about to just roll over and let the visitors dictate the narrative. No way. You don't play in front of tens of thousands of your own fans and just accept defeat in the opening rounds. The momentum was about to abruptly shift, going from those early nervous setbacks to just aggressive full-throttle comebacks aimed directly at overwhelming the opposition's defensive third.
Which perfectly leads us into Section 3, the fight for equalizers, obliging the crowd.
It all really boiled down to finding that goal-scoring feeling. That is the exact moment the energy in the stadium completely inverted. For Canada, it was Kyle Lauren who finally found that crucial, incredibly tight opening through a very compact Bosnian block. The second that ball hit the back of the net, that goal-scoring feeling returned, and it brought the roaring home crowd instantly back to life. It's like this massive rush of pure adrenaline that just resets the entire psychological state of the match, forcing the opposition to instantly reconsider their whole defensive posture.
And bagging those dramatic equalizers, it totally flipped the pressure dynamics. Suddenly, the hosts aren't just fighting to survive anymore. They are desperately trying to turn 1 point into 3 to keep their knockout dreams firmly alive. I mean, a draw is acceptable,
Sure, but a win on home soil is the ultimate objective. And with the crowd fully back in it, the urgency and the attacking tempo dialed up significantly.
And finally, Section 4, Defensive Heroics and Stalemates, the frantic finales.
Man, those dying minutes, they were completely defined by just brilliant, absolutely desperate defending from all sides, as the tactical setups basically gave way to sheer willpower. We saw incredibly brave goalkeeping with keepers putting everything on the line, rushing out to close down shooting angles and preserve the score. We saw the sheer agony of surviving the woodwork, specifically Canada, painfully hitting the crossbar late in the game, much to the absolute relief of a scrambling Bosnian defense. And we saw players literally throwing their bodies in the way of the ball, just clogging up those passing lanes. It was a total masterclass in defensive resilience under extreme pressure.
So what did we actually get in the end? Well, two totally enthralling contests. You had the USA versus Mexico finishing in a 2-2 draw, a high-scoring, end-to-end, highly emotional derby where midfield control was basically sacrificed for pure attacking intent. And then you had Canada versus Bosnia finishing in a 1-1 draw, which was this tense, highly tactical chess match dominated by low blocks and calculated possession. Two completely different paces, two different styles of football, but both resulting in incredibly hard-fought stalemates. Neither host nation walked away with the 3 points, but both of them proved they could absorb a really heavy punch and adapt their tactics to claw their way back into the game.
All of which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. Looking at these intense results on the road to 2026, did the host nations miss a huge opportunity to secure dominant wins on home turf? Or were those visiting defenses simply too rigidly disciplined and structurally sound to break down? It's a fascinating tactical debate as we look ahead to the knockout stages. Take some time to ponder what these draws truly mean for the state of North American soccer. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing those tactics, and I'll catch you next time.